Knowing people's starter Pokemon preference is a pretty big thing for some Pokemon fans to comment on, so we're just gonna put them all right in the garbage and go with something else. I'm not dealing with that, I don't know what the responses are, we're not gonna go into that, we're just gonna pick a different topic. Alright, I'll get them out, we'll do this. As I haven't included the starters in a lot of my videos and they were asked about quite a bit, I decided we could take a look at them all together and have the 3 final starters competing for the top spots along with their growing forms being ranked alongside them so that everyone is included. I was actually gonna make this a top 10 and just have 7 sections for Charizard, but I'm not gonna do that. So here we are with the old classic tier list ranking for the starting Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Alright, first off we have Charizard. That's not what I meant to do. I'm gonna begin things with Grookey here, as the grass one is always the first one to get judged and placed in the Pokedex. It's a classic little monkey, fun-loving spirit, my personal favorite out of the beginning stages, so here's a solid 8 tier for me. Just on design, really. I definitely see it being a well-known character in the anime. Maybe not as prominent as Rowlet, but that's some tough competition. However, I'd still be happy to see Grookey end up as playful and stellar as Ash's old bird, and it seems like the right type of Pokemon to actually have a chance at that spot. After that we have Scorbunny and Sobble. Most of the first stage starter Pokemon are usually just going to be based on their design if you want to do every evolution individually. I think the Generation 8 starters are all pretty solid in their own regards, as is usual with the poster characters brought to us with every generation. I did say my preferences on Grookey, however it's only slightly as they're all really classic Pokemon starter choices, and both Sobble and Scorbunny bring a nice charm. Sobble has that sad boy look, desiring to grow into a more powerful form and charming those with its I need some help tying my shoes kind of look as it tears up even when you start helping it. And then we have Scorbunny, the well-known energetic starter that seems like the first pick everyone would go to as the most popular when the 3 of them were released on their own. Runs fast, cartoony look, is a fire type, so that always brings a bit of focus on the Pokemon utilizing that typing. They're all great solid design choices on their own, and I have to put them both in B+, with maybe Scorbunny just a bit behind Sobble on the tier list, as I have a tiny bias towards the Sobble squad with the sadness illuminating from Sobble and all the added art for it. But they're all super close in likability and really cute on their own, so all of these spots are pretty interchangeable. After that we get the middle evolution for the trio. Straight off the bat, can't hold it in, Rabu is one of my favorite middle evolutions not only of this generation, but of every generation as well. It has a really different look from the usual evolutions of the first stage starter Pokemon, and even its name is just a randomly funny addition to its look. Got its ninja design and scarfed apparel, but the biggest enjoyment comes from how much of a surprise it is when you see your Scorbunny turning into one. Have to put this in its own little section with S tier at the top of the rankings. After that comes Thwackey and Drizzly. Usually the middle evolutions are the hardest ones to rank with exceptions like Reboot, but they both look like pretty solid standard middle evolutions for Sobble and Grookey. You've got the emo teenager who's grown up but still carries the sadness from its days as a Sobble. And then you have a bigger solid monkey with an extra stick. I think these both go into the same tier as they are well made, however the difficulty comes from figuring out which one to put in front of the other. Although I do like Thwackey a little bit more, with the silly name and good posture look which gives off a nice enticing desire to see what's the next evolution added on. The extra little feeling of ideas put into the look of Drizzly does edge me over to the side just slightly, as I like the growing pains and extra strand of colored hair to give it a more backstory type of look to go with the theme of Sobble. So I'll place both of these in B tier as a nice added chunk of points above a passing grade, with Drizzly just one spot ahead of Thwackey. Now usually for each generation I end up with one typing as the top pick in every evolution stage. So with Grookey being the best out of the first stages as a grass type, and then Reboot being the best out of the second stages as a fire type, that, by process of elimination, the trends I usually end up on would make Inteleon the best out of the final stages. But no, C tier. You go and see. Like, it's okay, I guess. I already know it's the most hated of the 3 final starters, but the overly slender agent that just stays as a pure water type is my go-to desired evolution. I mean, the other 2 final stars are great as their own monotypings, and I don't think making Inteleon water psychic or something of that nature would really boost my like for this Pokemon, but it's okay. It's its own thing. It's in its own tier. At the bottom of the list. Alright, next up, Rillaboom. Probably a big 50-50 Pokemon. You either like it or you don't, or it could just be there, in the decks. But hey, it's not cut, so it's like 500 plus rankings higher than the rest of them. The drum is a nice feature. Not the best, but I like that they at least tried to give it its own gimmick, and something to bang on. I think I have to put it into B tier. I mean, that's like a 7 out of 10. That's pretty good. I like the design, and the overall stat arrangement makes it fun to build moves on and integrate into your team than just a sweeper. But figure out where to put it above Thwackey, or below, or maybe ahead of Drizzly. Alright, we are putting it above Thwackey, but slightly below Drizzly. I think that's a fair placement. Still solid, bit of a controversial pick. Maybe not the most sought after, but still a really cool pickup on its own. And B for Boom. Covering all fronts here. And on to our final pick of the day with Charizard. Not again, I mean Cinderace. Honestly, this is the best starter Pokemon out of Generation 8 for me. Huge favorite from the 3 picks you have to choose from. It really brings a newfound hype for all the rabbits in Pokemon. Power Ball is also a pretty sick signature move with it being kicked off into battle, and I like the full look Cinderace brings in. It's the breadwinner of the new starter Pokemon, and I gotta place her right in the S tier matched with Reboot. Like, let's just split the picture in half and put them in the same spot. I guess a slight bit ahead for Cinderace just because it happens to be the final evolution, but by like 0.1 points ahead of Reboot. You know, I think we actually have to bring Grookey up here too. We're gonna put Grookey in S. Just right behind Reboot. There you go, buddy. The Fire line is a great evolution trio all together from the 8th generation, and they take home the trophy with the 2 S tier forms and Score Buddy just really not that far behind. So overall, here's the full list. We get the top dogs with Cinderace and pals, and then behind them, the well-deserved second place in Rillaboom's family, and then just a little tapered off in the third place with Sobble and Drizzly trying to carry in their perpetually fasting uncle. I think the one thing to point out on the Generation 8 stars is a bit of a focus on humanoid-looking Pokemon, so it gets a little extra subjective on ranking them with how marginalized that can make the bipedal designs and the reception to those as starter Pokemon. But they do manage to pop out from the games on their own, even though it would have been nice to have at least one 4-foot friend to contrast the designs. But let me know your rankings for these pals, and hopefully you enjoyed this tier list on the starter Pokemon of Generation 8. Well, thanks for tuning in. Glad you're all having a good time, and I'll definitely be back with more topics to go through with all of our Generation 8 journeys together. I might be a little bit slower on uploads at the moment just due to a few things, but I'll be back soon enough for the coming months, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Hope you're all having a good day, and until next time, see you then.